A popular question a lot of people ask me sometimes is, does the narcissist ever regret? Do they regret past supply? Do they regret past people? Do they regret past girlfriends, past boyfriends? Do they regret the people that used to be in their lives? Do they regret that love and affection that they both seem to have at the beginning of the relationship? Or do they regret their actions? Do they actually think about it and regret the fact that I cheated on someone? Do they regret the fact that I lied to this person, that I yelled at this person, that I raged and manipulated this person? Do they actually get to the place where they actually regret, where they regret those actions, those things, those people, everything that's happened in the past? And a lot of times, the answer is no. A lot of times people don't want to hear that. But you have to think of it from the narcissist perspective that all they're doing and all they're looking at is themselves. So a lot of times that breeds the mentality and the thought process of living with no regrets. They want to live their life to the fullest. They're going to live in the moment. They're going to go out, paint the town red, and enjoy the moment as it is and live their life with no regrets. As a result, if there's ever a time where there might be something that could be regretful, that might be something that could be shameful or guilty, or they'd have to have that accountability, they're going to whisk it away. They're going to bury it deep, they're going to hide it, and they're going to continue moving on. Because any type of regret is going to show them a couple emotions that they don't want to feel. It's going to have them feel shame. It's going to have them feel guilt. And it's going to pull on those strings of hey, there is a possibility in this universe that you might be wrong. And most narcissists, they're not going to acknowledge that. They're not going to want to acknowledge that. Sometimes they might not be capable or able to acknowledge that because of the amount of effort that they put into fabricating a lie, fabricating their entire existence to be the fake person that they're going to be. So as a result, as time progresses and they get to the place where they hurt other people, where they get involved with other people and they lose someone in their life, they lose access to their kids, they lose access to their partner, whatever it might be, sometimes that person from the empathetic side is kind of wondering, do they actually regret? Do they miss me? Do they regret the relationship we had? And a lot of times, looking at it, it could seem hey, this is logical. This is the way that life works. This is the way that this person should miss this person, should regret the relationship, should regret everything that they've done. But in reality, a lot of times they don't. They just live in that moment. They just want to be right. They just want to be the person that lives with no regrets. If you guys don't know who I am by now, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist, and I'm on this channel to help provide awareness to people about narcissism and to work with people providing growth, healing, and change. And that's really why I'm on here. I'm not on here to give people a bunch of hope that, hey, here's a narcissist, everybody can change. No, because narcissism is something that people can't change unless they're willing to cut the lies, unless they're willing to actually cut the bullshit that they live in their lives from day to day to day and get to the place that they can be honest, vulnerable, and open about what's actually going on in their mind and in their heart. A lot of times I interact with people on here or through my website, so rawmotivations.com, and they'll reach out to me and we'll touch base with people who have narcissism tendencies or narcissistic traits, and I try to work with them to cut the lies, to get them into therapy, to kind of work through their life to be a better person. And then I also talk with people who are victims of narcissistic abuse. A lot of times we sit down and we talk through how they can get closure, how we can work to break a trauma bond, how we can work to just make sense of the mud that a narcissist has put people through. If you're interested in any of that, subscribe to my channel, reach out to me at rawmotivations.com. I've got one-on-ones on there. Would love to be able to talk to you guys a little bit more about it. So with narcissism and with the concept of regret, sometimes people think hey, you'd think after a while they'd learn. You'd think after a while they'd start realizing and regret their actions. The problem is over a period of time, they continue to build that facade. They continue to build that wall. They continue to build that brick by brick that's going to mold and fashion them to be the person that they aren't, the fake version of them, that's going to continue those lies. Because a lot of it is about their image, how they look, how they're perceived in society, how other people view them. And as a result, regret has no place there. The idea of missing somebody, the idea of regretting an action, the idea of regretting what I said, what I did, how I responded, all that leads us back to the idea of shame and leads us back to guilt. And that's something that a narcissist doesn't want to approach. You see, a lot of narcissism is built on that concept of shame. It's built on the concept of I am not enough. It's built on the concept of I'll never be enough. It's built on the concept of I've been abused, whether emotionally, physically, mentally. I've been emotionally neglected. I've been X, Y, and Z. And they start to center everything around themselves and start to build a facade of who they are, how they're interacting, and how perfect they actually are. Now, I'm sure you've seen with narcissists that they don't want to admit they're wrong. They don't want to actually say those words. It can't come out of their mouth that I was wrong. With that goes along the same concept of regret. If I regret something, if I regret an action that I did, if I regret something that I yelled at you or I screamed at you, I have to acknowledge, by acknowledging that regret, I also have to acknowledge that I was wrong. For a narcissist to admit that they're wrong is almost an impossibility. Some physically can't even say it. I know for a period of time, I couldn't even say it. The majority of my marriage was built on the concept that I was right, I was perfect, and there was no way I was ever going to admit it. Even if I was faced dead in the face with the facts that I was wrong, I would never say it. I couldn't say it. I couldn't admit that to myself, to my ego that I had built up, to my sense of reality that I'd built and concocted. I couldn't actually say the words, I was wrong, because that felt too shameful, too guilty, too vulnerable. It was out there. It was blowing my mind of how would I say that? I couldn't. I would literally find myself in conversations with my wife where I acknowledged and knew I was supposed to say it, but actually saying the words I was wrong, they wouldn't come out. It was something that I couldn't actually verbalize and put together because my ego, my sense of reality, wouldn't let me get to that place. It's absolutely crazy. I know it's really hard for a lot of people to understand, but the narcissist typically wants to live their lives with no regrets, and as a result, they'll do anything they can to push those to the side, to bury the shame, to hide the guilt, and get to the place where they can continue to build and fashion their ego on a bunch of lies so that they can be viewed as the number one person, so they can be viewed as the best person in the entire planet, because in their mind, what they've tried to fabricate is that they are. As a result, going through life, they're going to try to live their life with no regrets. And most of the time, that means it's at the sacrifice of your feelings, of your heart, of your emotions. So if you've been with a narcissist and you're free, stay free. If you're with a narcissist now, practice gray rocking, try to get help, see if they'll go to counseling, see if they'll go get help themselves. If they don't, they're not interested in it, and it's not going to happen. Hope you guys like what you see. Please subscribe to my channel. Talk soon.